Part 1. Backyard Airports. How much does it cost to fly when you're 10? If you've ever tried building a bottle rocket with duct tape, you know it's not easy. But if you're Phineas and Ferb, you casually build a fully functional space program, launch a shuttle before lunch, and still make it home in time for grilled cheese.
Oh yeah, this is good.
But let's imagine this happened in the real world, where someone, maybe their parents, maybe NASA, had to pay for every single bolt in these summer projects. One a standard space shuttle, like NASA, but on grass. At least once, Phineas and Ferb launched an actual piloted spacecraft. Not a toy, not a prop, a real rocket, capable of orbit and safe return. Real-world cost. A single NASA shuttle launch, around $1.5 billion. Even a SpaceX-style reusable rocket, $60 to $100 million per launch. And these kids did it multiple times per summer, usually just because they were bored. Multiply that. And we're not even including what they did to the neighbor's fence. 2. Personal flight devices, not drones, but jet chairs. Let's list what they flew. Jetpacks, hover bikes, self-steering gliders, floating anti-gravity platforms. A real-life working jetpack costs $250,000 to $500,000 each. And they didn't build just one. They built dozens, all custom-made, often with voice commands and chrome finishes. 3. Aerial shows, air fleets and zeppelins. In some episodes, they built entire flying squadrons, hosted aerial stunt competitions, and casually rode around in luxury airships. A modern Zeppelin alone costs $18 to $20 million, not counting helium, navigation systems, and engine maintenance. Again, this was designed, constructed, and operated by 2 kids and a platypus. No questions, just add it to the expense sheet. 4. Satellites, space stations, and return capsules. These boys once built a surveillance satellite, a relaxation module in orbit, a space catapult, and naturally a self-landing return pod. Even the smallest real-world CubeSat cost $100,000 to $500,000. A functional mini space station, tens of millions. Estimated total for aviation and space inventions. Let's sum up their aviation budget. Shuttles and rocket launches, around $1 billion. Jetpacks and personal flight gear, about $5 million. Airships and aerial fleets, around $30 million. Orbital tech and satellites, at least $50 million. Estimated total, approximately $1,085 million. And that's without taxes, insurance, or paying back the parents for the backyard crater. Part 2. Building Atlantis in the backyard, the true cost of their water obsession. If most kids asked their parents to build a slip and slide in the yard, they'd get a hose, some plastic sheeting, and 5 minutes of fun before someone broke an ankle. But not Phineas and Ferb. These two decided that the entire concept of the ocean was portable, and they brought it home. Again, and again, and again. We're talking backyard water parks, artificial beaches, interactive aquariums, surf-ready wave machines, and probably a functioning coral reef. All built in a day and never mentioned again. So let's try to answer. How much does it actually cost to turn your backyard into a high-end, fully automated water world? 1. The time they built a full-scale water park, in 12 hours. Water slides 3 stories high, tunnels, drops, loops, and a multi-tiered lazy river system with snack delivery. They even had automated entrance gates, changing rooms, and a monorail. All of it. Designed, constructed, and tested by 2 boys with a toolbox and 0 permits. Real-world cost of building a modest commercial water park. $15 to $50 million, depending on size and features. Phineas and Ferb's version? Definitely on the upper end. Plus labor, safety engineers, and probably hazard pay for the platypus. Estimated cost, $60 million minimum. 2. The Ocean Simulator, complete with marine life. They once built a tank big enough to house dolphins. And not cartoon dolphins. Hyper-intelligent, smiling performers who responded to music and likely had union contracts. Now let's be clear. A public aquarium tank large enough for dolphins starts around $5 to $10 million. Add marine life licensing, filtration, cooling, maintenance, trainers, and you're looking at $20 million and up. Also, their dolphin tank had a disco feature. That's extra. 3. Creating a beach with real sand, tides, and sun lamps. Ah yes, the episode where they got bored and built an entire beach resort in their backyard, complete with sand shipped in by hover truck, wave generators that created real surfable tides, and somehow, a climate-controlled dome to simulate tropical weather. Importing sand alone can cost $30 to $100 per ton. For a large-scale beach, easily $200,000 in sand plus infrastructure. Wave pools and real-life resorts around $2 million per unit. Tropical domes and environmental systems add another $5 to $10 million. Their beach setup likely costs more than a Four Seasons hotel. 4. The giant whirlpool, the underwater city, and whatever that submarine thing was. Let's not forget the episode where they created a functional underwater city, a whirlpool portal system, a multi-level submarine with living quarters and sonar, real submarines. Military-grade ones cost $200 million and up. Underwater habitats, rare, experimental, and pricey, about $10 to $50 million just for structure and life support. Phineas and Ferb casually tossed this together over breakfast. Estimated cost of water-based projects. Let's break down the likely costs. Backyard water park, $60 million. Dolphin aquarium system, $20 to $25 million. Custom beach resort, sand surf dome, $15 million. Submarine and underwater infrastructure, $250 million plus. Estimated total, approximately $350 million. And none of that includes water bills, flood insurance, or the therapy Candace probably needed after being gaslit by disappearing oceans. Part 3. Robots, AI, and automating everything. How two kids outbuilt Google. For most kids, technology means a tablet and maybe some Lego with a motor. For Phineas and Ferb, it means building fully autonomous androids with emotional intelligence, capable of cooking, dancing, fighting, and most impressively, not needing software updates. And somehow they build it all from junk, spare parts, and a screwdriver. Like they live in Elon Musk's garage and not a suburban backyard. So let's talk numbers. What would this cost in the real world? 1. Servant robots, nanny droids, and personality clones. They've built androids that hold conversations, machines that develop emotions, robots that fall in love with Candace. One even joined the military, another tap danced on the ceiling. In reality, humanoid robots, think Tesla Bot or Boston Dynamics, $1 million plus per unit. Artificial intelligence that simulates human personality? We're talking billions in research and development. And Phineas and Ferb have dozens of these units, all custom built, fully functional, and capable of sarcasm. Let that sink in. 2. Self-assembling factories and autonomous construction. In many episodes, the boys don't just design something, they deploy a fleet of builder bots to assemble towers, machines, and arenas in minutes. This is full-on automated fabrication, the kind of system that, in real life, would take hundreds of engineers, 300 million plus, and months of setup. They do it before lunch, while wearing matching overalls. 3. Artificial intelligence that has moods. Some of their machines comment on the weather, reflect on their own identity, pursue creative careers, and sometimes refuse to work if they're not in the mood. This isn't programming. This is AI with a personality. Real tech companies are burning through billions to try to reach this level. Phineas and Ferb just treat it like a side feature in a smart toaster. 4 battle mechs, defense systems, and giant fighting machines. They've built mech suits, combat robots, platforms that simulate Transformer-level duels, all equipped with weapons, shields, and voice-activated targeting systems. In the real world, these are military prototypes that cost $50 to $100 million each. Phineas and Ferb use them to settle arguments about chores. Estimated cost of robotics and AI projects. Here's a realistic breakdown. Companion robots and emotional clones, $50 to $100 million. Autonomous construction factories, $300 million. AI with emotions and independent thought, $500 million to $1 billion. Battle mechs and mobile war machines, $200 million plus. Estimated total, $1.2 to $1.5 billion. And that's without Wi-Fi, GPT subscriptions, or lawsuits from the AI Ethics Committee. These two kids casually outperformed OpenAI, Boston Dynamics, and Tesla in one summer using scrap metal and catchy musical numbers. Part 4. Time machines, wormholes, and other things that shouldn't be in a suburban garage. While most kids spend summer vacation making sandcastles or watching cartoons, Phineas and Ferb casually broke the laws of physics. Repeatedly. Time travel? Done before breakfast. Interdimensional portals? Just another Tuesday. Visiting Mars for a picnic? Why not? They already had sandwiches packed. But if we stop laughing long enough to ask, how much would this cost in the real world? The answer is somewhere between every penny on Earth and we don't have this technology yet. But if we did, it would bankrupt a planet. Let's break it down. 1. Time travel devices, but make it portable. They didn't just build a time machine. They built multiple versions. A giant one in the backyard, a sleek, mobile version that fits in a backpack. One that lets you text through time, which feels like an FCC nightmare. Real talk, time travel doesn't exist. But if it did, it would require manipulation of space-time, insane energy outputs, quantum stabilization systems, Let's conservatively estimate a hypothetical time travel machine at $500 billion based on the cost of building experimental particle accelerators and also wild guesses because no one knows how to price this. Phineas and Ferb built theirs with spare parts and possibly chewing gum. Second, interdimensional portals with a user interface. Then there's the portal generator, a thing that opens gateways to parallel dimensions, works instantly, has menu options like a cosmic Uber app. That's not a door. That's theoretical physics made practical, with a touchscreen interface. In real life, even building something that simulates this, in theory, would involve superconducting tech, particle wave manipulation, multiverse mapping, which equals priceless, because it's not even close to possible yet. But let's humor the numbers. Let's say $1 trillion for a functional prototype. Minimum. 3. Mars travel, planetary tours, and back by dinner. They once built a rocket to Mars, a gravity field stabilizer, a lunch station on the surface, and made it home the same day. Even SpaceX, with all its funding, has yet to achieve that. Estimated cost of getting a crew to Mars and back, $100 to $200 billion per mission. Phineas and Ferb made it a casual afternoon trip, likely powered by batteries from the kitchen drawer. 4. Consequence-free tampering with reality. Let's not forget the more esoteric tech, memory erasers, timeline resets, devices that merge or split realities. These are literal threats to the space-time continuum, and the boys treat them like remote-controlled cars. You can't put a price tag on that kind of chaos, but for the sake of comedy, we will. Estimated cost of space-time and reality manipulation projects. Let's estimate the unestimable. Time machines, $500 billion. Dimensional portal system, $1 trillion. Mars trip system, $150 billion. Reality bending tools, $250 billion. Estimated total, approximately $1.9 trillion. Yes, trillion, with a T. And they didn't even charge admission. Part 5. Elevators to the moon and other civil engineering nightmares. At this point, it's no longer impressive that Phineas and Ferb built a theme park. It's impressive that the United States Department of Transportation hasn't tried to hire them. Because let's be clear, these kids didn't just build toys. They built entire transit systems, sky rails, highways, space elevators, and multi-city scale infrastructure, just because they wanted to get to the ice cream shop faster. So if we treat this seriously for a moment, how much would their public works cost in the real world? One to transit systems that defy zoning laws, logic, and gravity. Phineas and Ferb have built magnetic roller coasters that stretch across city blocks, personal transit pods that follow automated highways in the sky, subway-style systems with zero noise, friction, or breakdowns. In real life, just laying a few miles of light rail track can cost $100 to $200 million. Their systems? Citywide, custom-built, and likely required demolishing half of Danville without asking anyone. Estimated cost for this scale of transit network, $2 to $5 billion. 2. Giant structures, mega bridges, domes, sky towers. Sometimes their builds include suspension bridges that rival the Golden Gate, climate-controlled city domes, skyscrapers taller than FAA regulations allow. One particularly disturbing build? Yes, they constructed a space tether, launched it, secured it, and used it to visit the moon for fun. NASA and international researchers have theorized a lunar elevator. Just theorized. Cost projections for building one, $10 to $20 trillion, if even possible. Phineas and Ferb did it on a weekend. Third, mass automation of construction. All of this construction, by the way, is completed without adult help, without permits, and usually within a single afternoon episode. That means they've also created autonomous robotic crews, instant build tech, structural stabilizers that prevent collapse, because nothing ever falls over. In the real world, that's advanced military-grade rapid deployment engineering. Estimated value? Another $500 million to $1 billion, minimum. Fourth, maintenance, materials, and somehow zero deaths. Let's say the builds are physically possible. Fine. But where are they getting the steel? The concrete? The fiber optic wiring? How are they inspecting elevators that go to outer space? Material costs for large projects like these run hundreds of millions, and maintenance alone would bankrupt small nations. And yet, no lawsuits, no OSHA, not even a stub toe. Estimated cost of infrastructure and megastructures? Let's put a fake but honest price tag on it. Custom urban transit networks, $3 billion. Moon elevator and mega bridges, $15 trillion. Robotic construction systems, $1 billion. Materials and maintenance, $500 million plus. Estimated total, approximately $18.5 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's almost the entire GDP of the United States, spent by two kids in cargo shorts and matching tool belts. Part 6. Antimatter, infinite batteries, and who's paying this electric bill? If even one of Phineas and Ferb's inventions existed in real life, the local power grid would collapse. Streetlights outside, Wi-Fi gone. The entire city of Danville would flicker like a dying flashlight. And meanwhile, these two kids are casually powering space elevators, underwater cities, and robot armies, like it's no big deal. So the real question is, what are they using for power? And how much would it cost? 1. What even runs these machines? Everything they build is fully autonomous, runs silently, and never seems to need recharging. Which means either they've discovered fusion power, or they invented a perpetual motion machine and just didn't mention it. If that's the case, we're looking at a tech breakthrough worth hundreds of billions of dollars, not to mention Nobel Prizes and total collapse of modern physics. Phineas and Ferb just call it summer fun. 2 infinite batteries? Or portable nuclear reactors? They often use compact devices, sometimes the size of a backpack, to power citywide megastructures, giant sentient robots, and even dimensional portals. In real life, that would require miniature nuclear reactors around $1 to $2 billion each, or industrial battery systems no company has ever even prototyped. And they have dozens of these power units, without charging stations, without overheating. 3. Clean energy, like actually clean? Shockingly, none of their inventions cause pollution. No smoke, no gas, no fossil fuels. Even Perry the platypus lives in the lab, and he hasn't grown a third eye. That means they're using perfectly clean energy, with 100% efficiency, and zero maintenance requirements. If this tech existed, they'd win the Nobel Prize, the UN's Climate Hero Award, and probably become presidents of Earth. 4. Energy infrastructure. Because this isn't just an extension cord. To run all of this, they'd need power storage systems, smart load balancing grids, cooling and safety units, remote access controls, and most likely, a private energy plant the size of a football stadium. In the real world, building even a compact but powerful energy complex would cost at least $2 to $3 billion and require government-level licensing. Estimated cost of energy systems. Let's break down the energy bill. Infinite battery engine R&D, $500 billion. Portable nuclear-grade power units, $10 to $20 billion. Ultra-clean infrastructure, $5 to $10 billion. Power management and cooling systems, $3 billion. Estimated total, $530 to $550 billion. And that doesn't even include whatever powers their dancing vending machines and self-playing orchestras. Part 7. Final calculations. The price of a childhood without limits. Let's be honest, at first we were laughing at the absurdity, then we were impressed, and now we're just financially anxious. Phineas and Ferb didn't just build cool stuff. They constructed an entire parallel civilization complete with space programs, private military-grade robotics, interdimensional tourism, and a clean energy grid that puts most world governments to shame. So let's answer the question we've been building toward for 6 parts. How much would all of this actually cost in the real world? Grand total, cost by category. Let's recap our running estimates from each part. Water parks and aquatic megastructures, approximately $350 million. Robotics and artificial intelligence, approximately $1.2 to $1.5 billion. Time travel and reality-bending tech, approximately $1.9 trillion. Civil engineering and infrastructure, approximately $18.5 trillion. Energy systems and power grid, approximately $530 to $550 billion. Final total, low-end estimate, approximately $22.5 trillion. Yes, with a T, as in more than the GDP of the United States, as in you could fund universal healthcare for Earth and still have enough left over for moon condos. And Phineas and Ferb did this in one summer, without a budget, while wearing sandals. What that actually means. To put it in perspective, you could fund NASA for over 1,000 years, build 15,000 luxury airports, pay off the student loan debt of every human being on the planet, or recreate everything Phineas and Ferb built in your backyard, assuming you also had access to alien tech, infinite money, and 2 very confused but supportive parents. And the best part? So how much did Phineas and Ferb's inventions actually cost? Roughly $22.5 trillion, and one very suspiciously flexible reality. Because in the real world, even the blueprints for some of these inventions would get seized by the government. In Danville, they're just another summer Tuesday. Roll credits, no receipts.